In this video, I'll share with you what I believe is my #1 trading secret. I'll share how you can embrace this secret and immediately apply it to your own trading to give you an instant edge on the market. Now, I'm not going to hold you in suspense, but I want to share something here. I've been wanting to do this video for a while, and I wanted it to be a lot more fancier than me just talking to charts. But here's the challenge with that, is that I'd either have to outsource that and work with someone, or I'd have to do it myself. And if I could just share my thinking on this, #1, my first obligation for creating content is for my training. People have paid to be part of my training. It's something that I look to add value to every single week, in addition to answering questions on Discord. And a lot of times that's my main priority when I create content. The other thing, and hopefully this is obvious if you've watched any of my videos, is that I actually trade. The stuff that I share here on YouTube is a distilled version of what I think will give you an edge or help you think differently about the market and help you become a better trader in the quickest time possible. And I don't like to cover the same thing that everybody else does. I like to cover where I think that there's holes within the thinking of becoming a successful trader. And that's a good segue to talk about what this secret is not. This secret is not the ability to draw lines or trend lines on a chart. It's not value channels, Fibonacci, Elliott waves, or some price action reading. It's not crossing moving averages or a secret hidden indicator. Yes, all that stuff is important, but it's not as important as how you fundamentally look, respond, and interpret the market. And quite simply, it comes down to this. I believe the #1 secret that I employ to have an edge on the market is something called empathy. I'll expand a bit. Empathy isn't the ability to cry on demand or to be some type of emotional wreck. And actually, let's pull up the definition and break down what empathy really is and how you can apply this to give you an enormous edge on the market. So the Merriam-Webster definition, and I know when you look at definitions, sometimes it's like word spaghetti, but we'll break this down and we'll actually apply it to the market and to you as a trader. So the Merriam-Webster definition to empathy is the action of understanding, being aware of, being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experience of another of either the past or present without having the feelings, thoughts, and experience fully communicated in an objectively explicit manner. Now, I wanted to start with the definition because what we'll do is we'll put that definition through the lens of a trader and how that gives you an edge. But basically, empathy is your ability to see the world from the perspective of someone else, and not just see the world, but feel the world, understand the thought that someone has, have that same experience through their eyes or through their seat. You could say through their shoes as well. But a better way to apply this, or to show how this is applied to the market and how it gives me an edge and how it can give you an edge. So let's start with that same definition. This time, we'll take it from the perspective of how empathy gives you an edge in trading. So the same definition, but what we'll do is we'll call this market empathy. And maybe I just came up with a new phrase there. I'll have to check to make sure, but let's just call this market empathy. And market empathy is understanding, being aware of, being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experience of another trader or group of traders in the past and present without being in their positions, losses, gains, or their desire or requirement to enter the market. So if I just pause here and you just look at that definition, you'll see when you put empathy through the lens of trading, you can see you're probably starting to have some wheels start to turn inside your mind if you haven't thought about this on a deep level. Now, you might be saying, look, I get it. Isn't that why I'm looking at charts? Isn't that why I'm looking at volume and all this other stuff? I'm looking at the actions of traders, and I'm trying to understand what traders have done. Here's probably the difference between you understanding this and you getting this at a gut level, and how it's actually an edge for me and how you need to develop it as an edge for yourself. I don't just understand this. I have a systematic approach that I follow that applies empathy to the market. Any market I'm looking at or trading. And let me restate that because it's important. I have a systematic habit I've developed to consistently apply empathy to the market that provides me with my greatest edge. This isn't just me knowing it. I've developed a process. You could say a shortcut so that I can apply empathy at a moment's notice and basically subconsciously when I'm looking at a chart. I have a process that I've developed to apply empathy to give me an edge. See, that's the difference between actually knowing about something and kind of understanding it and approaching the market in a highly sophisticated and systematic way. And probably the best way to explain this, and I should mention, I'm happy to get to these sections of my videos and my training and everything else because I covered a lot of the fundamentals, but I find that the biggest breakthroughs come from when you know the fundamentals, when you understand why value channels are very powerful, you understand indicators or how to read candles and how to read price action. When you apply the thinking to trading is when the world really starts opening up for you and trading starts, you start exponentially growing as a trader. So I'm excited to start getting to this in my training and here on YouTube. But before we jump over to a chart and I share a concrete example of how to apply this, my next video I'll be releasing will have the key questions that I asked to apply empathy to the market. So if you haven't subscribed here on YouTube and hit the bell, definitely do that now. But let's jump over to a chart. We're looking at BTC USD Coinbase, and this could be anything you trade. Doesn't matter. It could be gold, could be uranium, it could be oil, it could be Bitcoin, it could be another crypto asset, it could be Forex. There's two things that I'll cover here that will expand hopefully your thinking about this if you haven't thought about this already, and that will get you to the next step of applying empathy to the market. The first one, which is something that I find many people haven't really considered, but is actually critical to every step that you make when you're looking to trade, is understanding the current asset holder base. What does it look like? Have you really thought about, out of all the financial instruments out there, why does someone choose X? Why does someone choose Bitcoin? Out of need? Out of want? Greed? Hedging? Do they want to be part of something? You can apply this to any financial instrument. You need to understand at a core level who the asset holder is. And there's multiple asset holders. Obviously, different markets have different reasons for existing, different asset holders. But in order for you to even begin to apply empathy, you have to understand the core segments of someone that is interested in that asset. That's the only way that you can get into their shoes. So do you have that list? Have you created that list? I can almost guarantee that 98% of the people that are watching this right now, you have not formalized a list. Now on my primer doc, I've kind of done that for you already. If you go here and you go to market participants, I've already gone through this step. And this is just a rudimentary. This obviously is not all the asset holders, but this is an important aspect when you actually go and trade Bitcoin, is understanding these different makeups of traders, these groups of traders. That way you can put yourself in the shoes, in the experiences. If we go back to our definition, in their positions, in their gains, in their losses. Even a bot, you need to be able to understand to think like a computer. That seems pretty odd, I think, to a lot of people, is that how do I think like a computer? Well, increasingly the world is using high frequency trading. Computers are trading. Artificial intelligence programmed by people will be coming to the market. So you need to be able to spot bot trading and understand that as a market participant. Get into the shoes, get in the positions of that trader base. Now, if we jump back over to a chart, that's the core thing. And I ask again, and I'm not doing this just to call you out, but have you systematically gone down and understood and wrote down all of those possible trader bases? And I'll take it a step further. How do you put yourself in the perspective of that asset or that trader base? How is that shortcut? I'll give you another concrete example of one way to do this, not to steal the thunder from the next video, but let's say we'll go to the 1 hour chart of Bitcoin here. Let me ask you a question. How many times have you looked at a chart and have you said, the trader that bought right here, what are they feeling? What range of emotions have they been going through? What are they feeling right now looking at the chart? What is their goal for this position? Why did they buy here? Let's go to the 4 hour. Someone that bought yesterday. What is the range of emotions that someone bought yesterday? What have they gone through? Have they sold? How often have they looked at their position? Do they feel good? Do they feel bad? What do they feel? What have they experienced? See, when you look at the market through this perspective, and when you really, it comes down to understanding the psychology of trader bases on multiple time frames and understanding the experiences, their expectations, whether or not those expectations have been met, whether or not the market has not met those. And it's not just on a single time frame, it's on multiple time frames. Now, this is one of those videos that I could easily dive in and go in for about a half hour. But what I really want to do actually is just focus this on empathy and not talk about fundamentals of how you apply this. Like I said, I've developed an approach that I call market empathy that gives you the ability to systematically go in and look at any asset and have a step-by-step checklist of looking at the market from an empathetic view. But what I would implore that you need to do in addition to having a checklist like that is we all inherently have the ability to have empathy. We're born with it. If that wasn't the case, the entertainment industry wouldn't exist. There wouldn't be movies, there wouldn't be TV, because when you're watching a movie or TV, you're vicariously living through someone else sometimes, because you can feel their pain, you can root for them, you see the world from their perspective. All these anti-hero movies and TV shows, the anti-hero is highly effective. If you think of Breaking Bad, the anti-hero is highly effective because you see the world from their eyes, even though they're really not a hero, but they've been wronged greater than the wrong that they've done, or there's some justification there. But that's the ability. What is making that happen is your ability for empathy. So on this video, where I'll leave it, instead of jumping into more charts and talking about how to fundamentally do this with charts, that's the next video. I'll talk about what you should be focusing on. And this is generally, you always need to be looking for skills outside of trading that you can apply to trading. And empathy is one of those. So when you talk about empathy, what are some good ways to build empathy? there's two ways that I really find that help me tremendously in building empathy. The first one is going to sound a little odd, but I actually watch a broad range of stuff on YouTube. Stuff that you would, I have a daughter and she is always amazed at the stuff that I watch. She said, "Why are you watching that?" Because what I look to do and fill my mind with, your mind is a database. And what you really want to do is fill your mind with different perspectives. If you can fill your mind with different perspectives, your mind, your subconscious, will do the work for you. And that's something that I think people don't talk about in trading, is that there is an emotional side of trading. There is intuition. It exists. And as much as I like to say that, hey, I'm a computer, a lot of times the trades I do, my best trades are based on intuition. So when you look at it from that perspective, you only build intuition by building empathy and understanding the market. That's how you build intuition. Now, when it comes to the next thing that I think you can do, and this is outside of just trying to watch things on YouTube and give you a new experience of something that you've never really explored before, and consistently doing that and always reaching out. There's two other things you could do. Is you could travel. I think travel does that for you as well, because you see the world and you see the world through different eyes and you get a different perspective. But the other thing that anybody can do is when you're out in public is just sit there without being creepy, watch people, and imagine the world from their perspective. If you're in a public place and you're seeing someone walk, imagine what the world looks like from their angle. Imagine what they're thinking. Imagine the perspective. If they have a bag in their hand or something, just use as much of your empathy to get inside the feelings, the thinking of those around you. And systematically go about doing that, because what you're doing is, it's not a waste of time. You're building your database of experience that you can pull upon, that you can pull up, that your subconscious will pull up. You're building an intuition of empathy. And I know this sounds, I don't know, new age. I know it sounds probably not like trading advice, and it's beyond trading advice, but it actually will help you tremendously in your trading. I believe empathy is like a muscle. We all have a capacity for it, but some of us have a greater capacity for it because we've developed it through our life experiences or just who we are. Some of us have to build that muscle more. The more that you can build your empathetic muscle, the greater edge you'll have on the marketplace, because it'll be part of your intuition. Once you understand the fundamentals of trading, once you understand the fundamentals of technical analysis, and you develop the technical analysis that works for you, the next step you need to develop then is your intuition. Your intuition will give you an edge combined with the fundamental analysis or understanding of the market. That's the true answer. That's why I say empathy is my number one secret, because every time that I do apply empathy to a trade, in addition to the technical analysis and everything else, I have a higher success rate because I'm looking at the trade from multiple angles. In addition to protecting my risk, having a proper risk reward and everything else, but fundamentally, I'm not entering a position or a trade unless I put it through my empathy filter. You could say market empathy, I guess, if we go back to the phrase. I have to see if I can coin that phrase, market empathy. But that, to me, is my number one secret. I'll be talking more and more about it. I'll be mentioning it more and more now that I've kind of shared what it is and just a brief understanding. But we'll be going into more detail about how to apply it, how it fundamentally works, and how I have a systematic process. For now, what I suggest is just really work on building empathy. And if the general building empathy isn't up your alley, then work on building the actual market empathy. Focus on consistently putting yourself in the shoes and the actual positions of other traders in the market. When you start systematically doing that, you start to see the market from a different angle. You start to interpret the history of the market from a different way. And it really is the answer to building intuition based on the technical analysis and everything else you're doing to actually interpret the market. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Down below, you'll see a link to the document that I mentioned here. You also see a link to the Discord group. If you're interested in the training, just join Discord, direct message me, and then I can send you information on how to get started with the training. There are also links to other tools that I use down below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.